For nearly 3 decades, Michael Jackson wasn't just a musician. He was a magnet for a level of adoration that regularly overwhelmed security teams, broke through barricades, and turned ordinary concert nights into full-blown emergencies. From crane rescues to fainting spells by the hundreds, here's a look back at some of the strangest, most intense, and most telling moments of fan mania that followed him around the world. During a stop on the History Tour in Seoul on October 11, 1996, Jackson was suspended dozens of feet in the air on a crane, performing Earth's Song above a crowd of roughly 50,000 people, when a teenage fan slipped past security and climbed a moving crane arm to reach him. Rather than panicking, Jackson pulled the boy into the basket and held him steady. For more than a minute, he kept singing while physically shielding the fan, and only once the crane touched back down did guards remove him. Jackson then resumed performance as if nothing had happened, a moment that became one of the defining images of his composure under pressure. A separate, more ambiguous clip circulating online shows a Jackson lookalike performer being unexpectedly embraced on stage during a show, with some viewers claiming the star looked visibly angry. Because the footage's authenticity and context were never confirmed, it's generally treated as unverified. On July 6, 1997, during a Munich performance in front of 70,000 fans, a young French woman was brought on stage during You Are Not Alone to dance with Jackson. Overcome with emotion, she wrapped her arms around his neck and refused to let go once the song ended. It took 3 security guards to pry her hands loose, and even then she clung on with her arms and legs. Despite the physical struggle, witnesses say Jackson stayed calm throughout, reassured the guards not to be rough with her, and gave her a kiss as she was finally led away. Jackson's October 1st, 1992 concert in Bucharest was historically significant, one of the first major Western pop shows to take place in Romania after the fall of its communist government, performed for roughly 90,000 people. During the ballad, She's Out of My Life, a young Romanian woman selected to join him on stage became so overwhelmed that she began sobbing uncontrollably, then went completely limp as her body shut down from the emotional intensity. Guards had to carry her off stage, her feet dragging behind her, while Jackson continued singing and hold her close until she was taken away. At a nationally televised concert in Tunis on October 7, 1996, in front of nearly 60,000 fans, 2 separate young men broke, through security, within a short span of time after Jackson finished performing Black or White. Jackson embraced the first intruder, seemingly trying to protect him from being roughly handled by guards. When a second man reached the stage moments later, Jackson reacted with visible surprise and stepped back rather than approaching him. He was widely noted afterward for staying composed despite the chaos. The Bucharest stop on the dangerous tour also produced one of the more mythologized moments of Jackson's career. During Man in the Mirror, the stadium reportedly reached a state of collective frenzy so intense that more than 50 fans fainted from being crushed in the crowd and had to be carried out by Red Cross medics. Because Jackson needed to make a complicated exit using a jetpack rig, he sang the 10-minute song entirely alone on stage, without interruption. A popular internet story claims a fan knelt before him mid-performance and was carried off by medics, but that particular tale appears to be a blending of separate incidents. From other shows, including a woman who collapsed during She's Out of My Life in Bucharest that same year, and a similar episode in Munich in 1997. Also from that same Bucharest concert, Jackson opened one segment by standing completely motionless for roughly 2 minutes amid a pyrotechnic display, essentially daring the crowd to sit with its own anticipation rather than feeding it immediately. The tactic reportedly backfired in a physical sense. Several dozen fans, already dehydrated and overheated, began fainting even before he moved, with emergency crews pulling unconscious bodies over the barricades. When Jackson finally removed his sunglasses, the crowd's pent-up energy reportedly exploded all at once, triggering another wave of fainting as blood pressure spiked and dropped across the audience. The scale of fan hysteria during the History World Tour was significant enough that medical teams essentially had to run field hospital operations at some stops. With an estimated 4.5 million people attending shows across 5 continents, cities including Prague, Bucharest, and Munich needed local Red Cross teams on standby to handle a steady flow of fans who lost consciousness. Conditions were often brutal even before the music started. Many fans stood for over 12 hours in direct sun, dehydrated and exhausted, before adrenaline from the opening song pushed already strained bodies over the edge. Medical crews reportedly worked in shifts, bringing stretchers to barricade areas to carry away fans as they fell. One of the more heavily criticized moments of Jackson's later life happened on November 19th, 2002, outside Berlin's Adlon Hotel, where fans had gathered for a days-long vigil during the Bambi Awards. In an impromptu attempt to show off his 9-month-old son, Prince Michael II, to the crowd below, Jackson held the baby out over a fourth-floor balcony railing. Photographers captured the moment instantly, and the backlash was immediate and global. Jackson later called it a terrible mistake, made in a moment of excitement. And while no legal action followed, the incident left a lasting mark on his public image as a parent. An incident from May 8, 1997, on the Italian television program Mania has often been mischaracterized online as a violent assault on Jackson in Copenhagen. In reality, a fan rushed the stage and hugged him tightly around the neck while he was speaking with the hosts. Jackson responded warmly, hugging her back, and security eventually stepped in to help separate them. Despite the physical intensity of the moment, nothing violent occurred. The moment was part of a televised entertainment segment, and Jackson reportedly stayed relaxed and smiling throughout. Unlike the spontaneous breaches described above, bringing a fan on stage during You Are Not Alone became a standard, planned part of the History Tour set list. Security staff would select someone from the crowd, often, according to later analysis of tour records, someone already showing visible signs of overwhelm, to be brought up to Jackson. The emotional impact could be severe. Some fans reportedly fell into near catatonic states, crying and collapsing to their knees while Jackson continued to sing. Medical staff were kept on standby offstage specifically to handle the aftermath. By the time Jackson arrived in Munich in June 1999 for his charity-focused Michael Jackson and Friends concert series, his approach to public appearances had visibly changed. Rather than leaving his image entirely to outside photographers, his team brought in dedicated camera crews to film his arrival themselves, giving him more control over how the footage circulated and limiting outside media's access. Not every high-profile encounter involved chaos. At a private celebration sometime in the late 90s or early 2000s, Jackson took part in a good-natured,